Welcome to Contract with Ashley. I'm your podcast host / this is the first time we're doing this in person, and I'm bringing on my preferred lender, Sebastian Riveros.
Thank you, Ashley, for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for driving to Beaufort.
Of course. It took me a minute, but we're here.
So this is our first time being together and actually getting to talk about life, how we got here. We're both in our careers. How many years are you in?
Last September was 10 years for me.
Okay, so tell me, what do you do?
So, I am a mortgage banker. I work with Ameris Bank. I've been with Ameris Bank for 10 years as of September.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It is quite an accomplishment being in one place for that long.
Yeah, loyalty?
Don't say I'm not loyal now.
So, why are you a lender? How'd you get into this?
Well, straight out of college, obviously most of us don't know what we want to do.
At all?
But I did have a degree in business, so I knew that I wanted to go, the business route. It wasn't until my friend's father proposed, this job to me to be, to do mortgages, to work for a mortgage bank, and it sounded appealing at the time. But little did I know what I was getting myself into. 10 years down the road, I can say with confidence that this job has changed my life. And I've also helped, change the lives of many people as well.
I think that's the thing, like what you just hit on. We miss that piece, right? Because we're in the hustle of every single day. We have to help this person. We have to move forward here. Someone's calling us here. But do you really realize we're changing people's lives?
Sometimes it's hard because, this job is not for the faint of heart. And, sometimes, it's hard to keep that attitude, day in, day out, call in, call out, multiple people and throughout the day.
Yeah.
So, it's important to, keep that attitude because just exactly that, we are changing people's lives. So, I try my best to give, everybody my most and sought out attention. But, with so many multiple things going on at once, sometimes it's hard to, focus on that specific client, but that is the thing that, in our industry we have to focus is that, we do this multiple times, in a given month,
right?
But for that person, it's only one time that we're doing it for,
Correct. And it's the biggest transaction one makes in their life, right? So we talked about how you had a friend that reached out to you, told you to get into lending. What does your day-to-day kind of look like? What do you do?
So, essentially wake up, go through my emails, people that I've been communicating with, send them emails. Then, early afternoon, I start making calls, prospecting clients. At the same time, people are calling me, asking about, long questions about their personal loan or new people contacting me. So it's definitely a juggling act. But I would say that, it is a very fulfilling and fruitful job.
That I feel. We talked about your day-to-day, right? When you qualify a client, what does that kind of look like? You talk to first-time home buyers, or you...
So there's a routine, introduce myself, try to get to, the goal that each person's trying to get to. Because,
right.
Everybody has, their specific goal where it may be like, I want to buy this property because my kids are graduating college, or it might be an empty nester. So, being keen on active listening, right. Seeing what is it that they're trying to accomplish, right?
Right?
And then, of course, start asking the basic questions. How's your credit? Tell me about your employment, your income, your assets, your liabilities, so then we can start, building a loan package for them.
Okay, so basically everybody's different.
And I always tell people, a mortgage is like going to Baskin Robbins. Baskin Robbins has 64 flavors, right? You got a cup, a cone,
right.
And then you get the toppings with the gummy bears, gummy worms, maybe you want some cookie crumble. Your ice cream is not going to be like my ice cream.
The same as yours. Okay, mm-hmm. That's fair. Tell me your favorite story. What's something that impacted, like a client that you helped, maybe that changed things for...
So, we talk about, changing people's lives, and sometimes we may take that transaction for granted and what it means to that specific person. But I remember this very specific girl. She was the head hole of her family. She, at the time, I think she was maybe about 24, 25 years old. Her younger brother was also going on the application with her. Okay. But mom and dad were also living in the home with her, right? Okay. So, I probably spoke to this girl, a woman, maybe like 3 years back. And from day on, I was like, hey, Daisy, you have to do this, 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 and that. If you do this, this, and that, we could potentially talk about, getting you into a home.
So you coached her.
Correct.
From the very beginning.
But it didn't take, 30 days, 60 days.
Right.
It took years, right?
Okay.
So for my initial consultation, she contacted me back. She's like, hey, Sebastian, I did what you asked me to do. So then we retouched her application, and I said, okay, Daisy, you know what? Your income, your work hasn't guaranteed you a full-time employment.
Okay.
So essentially, she ended up reaching out to her employer. She told her employer, that she was buying a house, and Daisy, she was a very sweet girl. So her employer, just like me, saw this hardworking girl who's sweet, attentive, hardworking. Like I said, essentially, they ended up extending her a full-time job, right? So she came back to me. She called me. She was super excited. She's like, "Hey, Sebastian, guess what? They offered me a full-time job." And sometimes like I said, you take certain things for granted.
Correct.
But hearing the tone of her voice and how excited she was that not only was she got her a permanent job with her employer,
right,
but she's also about to be a homeowner.
And
so
the generational, right? She has her parents with her sibling. Like, you weren't just changing this, helping her. You helped a family.
So, like I mentioned, she was the head of her family. Right. So, her parents work, but it was a thing where they didn't have the documentation.
Right.
It's very common
real thing
in our community, the Latino community, where the children are having to be the head of household,
right,
in as far as like documentation, taxes goes, because parents are not being able to claim.
Fair.
But so essentially, the girl talked her brother up, coached her brother up, because the whole time I was communicating with her. Long story short, we ended up closing it. It was also a down payment assistance loan.
Mm-hmm.
So on top of the new job, the new home, she also got down payment to help with her home. So I remember after the closing, she had sent me the sweetest text message and a whole photo of her and her whole family in front of the house. Yeah, I'm not kidding, Ashley.
My heartstrings.
I cried.
Okay.
I cried because I knew that I had changed this family's life.
But you realize not even just changing them, you created generational wealth for them. And that's something that reason hugely minorities are behind, right? Is that we don't have that generational wealth just pass. And it's not money all the time. It's a sense of just knowledge. Like, what you taught her, she taught her brother. And if you didn't teach her, would her brother know? And if you didn't teach her, would her parents have figured out? And then now, like, she has kids someday, her brother has kids. That knowledge goes farther down the line, right? And their family doesn't have to rent forever because now they've seen, oh, well, now I know how to buy. It's not as...
No, you're 100% right, because not only did I help her, not only did I help her buy her home, mm-hmm. but I also empowered her.
Correct.
Right? And she did the same thing with her family. Mm-hmm. So you're 100% right about that. It's not about the monetary and it's not about the tangible physical asset,
right,
but also changing the mentality, especially in, Black and brown communities.
Correct.
We are, there's a gap.
Correct.
And it's more than the monetary, but it's also the mentality about how do we, translate, this information. How do we communicate this information? How important it is, credit.
Yeah.
Also, being able to file your taxes, doing it properly.
Not putting money in under the mattress.
Very common, but correct. Coaching them on how to become more financially
correct.
Sound.
I think that's cool. I have a story kind of similar. I had a client, we were looking at houses, College Park area. We went under contract. It was a dad and a son. The son was working and a forklift pierced his leg while we were in contract.
Oh no.
Ended up having to cancel on the contract. They went back and rented, and then 2 years later, they called me back and I helped the dad throughout the process. Like, okay, go to your job, stay here for this amount of time, because we kept having, the reason we needed the son was to qualify for income because his jobs were 1 year here, 1 year here. So cancel contract, and then 2 years later he reaches back out to me and he tells me that he's ready and he actually took his job full time. He's been there 2 years. So long story short, we find the house, we go under contract. In closing day, he came over to me and just reminded me that they continued to rent, but when he purchased that home, his 4 other kids saw their dad purchase a home for the first time ever. And that was showing his kids that you guys can do this too. You don't have to rent forever. And that was the heartstring one for me. Because it's true, we run in our daily things, and it's those stories that just kind of bring us back, right? I mean, we talked about our favorite stories, how we got here. I think one of the coolest things to drop the buyers with and people listening is our projections. What do we think the state of the market is this year in 24? What have you seen so far?
So, we're still in the beginning of the year 2024. The last 2 years, literally have been a roller coaster.
Completely.
We were, back in 2020, we were all-time low rates.
Yeah.
In 22, we were, 23, all-time high rates, pretty close to that mark. The Federal Reserve already has announced that they're going to cut the increase of interest rate this year.
Okay.
So we've already seen a decline of the rates come down, but it is not something that happens automatically.
Right.
In order for the market to get back to rates that were more favorable like they were 2 years ago,
okay,
it needs to be like a dance. So before the rates go down, they have to come back up again, and then they go back down, and they go back up again. So the expectation is that there's going to be a reduction of the interest rates a couple times this year. Of course, there's many factors that has an effect on the market, but the good news is that the rates are coming down. However, I would say this to people who are intending to buy a home this year. Summer is the peak season in our market.
Correct.
So compared to last year, we're going to see the normal influx of shoppers during the summer.
Right.
Most families intend on buying homes to get into school zones before school starts.
Correct.
But
not moving the kids around.
Exactly. But what's going to happen this year on top of that is we're going to see a higher influx of buyers that sit out on the sidelines last year.
But they're here.
But they're going to join the market. So what's going to happen? Supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
It's going to make properties be more costly because there's going to be more competition. There's going to be more buyers willing to bid over asking, which is going to create essentially.
We're back to 21, is what you're telling me. So, I say we're here. I just was out with some clients this past weekend. House was listed at $845. They sent it to me. No showings till the open house on Sunday. So the house was on the market for people to see for maybe about 6 days. Listed at $845, like I said. Sunday we go see it. I'm talking to the agent as we're walking out, and she tells me that they have 2 cash offers skating in at $1 million. So when we say that the buyers are on the sideline and they're waiting to come in, we're here now. As soon as those rates started dropping, I'm seeing we're back in the market we were in.
So my advice to anybody who's looking to buy a home this year is speak to somebody like myself.
Right.
Get qualified so you know the expectation as far as your monthly payment, your cash to close, and of course, contact you, preferably real estate agent, to start taking you in and showing homes, because by summer you're going to see a lot more. There's going to be a lot more of over asking offers, cash offers. So if a buyer wants to get into a home and get a good deal, that sellers are still paying closing costs.
Correct. That's the thing, and it's just different pockets, right, where you're looking and what the market's doing, but I think it's more advantageous now to move when you have this little gap before you hit the May, June, July market, where, like I'm saying, we're going over asking price. So, I guess that's a great tip.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely buy now is always the right time to buy.
Right.
If you wait until summer, you're going to have more competition. Or you could wait until after summer, until like the holidays where there's less competition.
Where it slows down a little bit more again.
But definitely now is always the time to buy, especially when it comes into putting your family into a home or being a first-time home buyer and getting into your home. Now is always the right time.
Okay, so how do the people find you?
Well, you could find me with a simple Google search, Sebastian Ameris Bank. You'll find me on my website. All my information will be there. Or you can find me in the social media, Sebastian Riveros, on Facebook and Instagram. All
right, well, this is how you get approved for a loan. We start with lender and then agents. To be the most successful you can is to get approved first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're one of my partners. And are you ready for 24?
I'm definitely ready, Ashley. Ready to hit the ground running.